Is Ajita so serious?
So start.
Start, Hari, start.
Tring, tring. That's the entry tone to this meeting. Meeting? You heard it right. What meeting is this? Ladies and gentlemen, Toastmasters and guests, this is actually a meeting by the Toastmasters International. What is it about? It is something about you looking to learn to speak in public. It's public speaking and a little bit of leadership skills. Now, before we get into all of that, let me tell you something. This organization, Toastmasters, is one of those leading organizations which helps people desensitize very systematically the fear of public speaking and improves in public communication. So what's more important for us is to learn how we are able to communicate among not only the close circle, but also the larger circle that you have in your lives. Now, by mistake, if you've just dialed in and you've actually got into our meeting, please stay on, because I'm sure you will find something really interesting. That's because we're going to be combining today two divisions, Division B and Division I, into something interesting. And we have a great line of speakers today. We're going to take you on a fantastic journey. Now, but what we need to understand is, in this journey, there are a few distractions that you'll always have, you see. I call this the dancing devil in empty pockets. That's because they never are there with anything else. So you should know, when they dance is when they ring and they vibrate. So what I request you to do, turn them off or keep them on silent mode. Some of us even have a second one. That too should follow the same suit as the twin brother that you already saw, or a twin sister that you already saw. Number two, in Toastmasters, we have a certain guideline that we do not speak on a few subjects, even though they are very matured. We are also matured, but we don't dwell on those. But apparently, I love those subjects. And those subjects are politics, religion, and sex. I just love those topics. I can debate and talk on them for hours together. We can do all that talking post this meeting. The whole night is there with us. So I can connect up with you on Zoom and we can go on talking about them. But in this meeting, for the next about an hour and a half, please refrain from them. Also, I'm sure during this meeting, you may just grab a glass of water, maybe some snacks, because you want to keep yourself fresh after the long day of work that you had. So in case the water has actually translated into a little bit of call of nature, remember to go to the right washroom, not visit your neighbor's washroom, because by mistake you go there, you know what can happen. So please use your washrooms. And by the way, the room that I'm staying in, the house that I'm staying in, the building has not told me anything about a fire drill. So in case there is a fire alarm, I would take the exit right opposite me and rush out of the door. From here is a shortcut. So remember, if you're staying on a floor that is higher than the ground floor, please don't take shortcuts. Please take the long cut, because sometimes shortcut can become a too long a cut. Keeping that in mind, we have some interesting people, as I told you, to take you through this entire journey. This evening, you're going to be taken through or possibly ushered through this meeting by a master of ceremonies. This master of ceremonies has been in Toastmasters for 2 years. She's actually an industrial psychologist. Industrial psychologist? Yes, you heard it right. Industrial psychologist. You don't find this breed very common in Toastmasters and in today's world, but this person is an industrial psychologist. We should possibly understand industrial psychology after this meeting through her. She also works with this organization by Dakshada, and she's into talent resourcing. I really wonder, how does industrial psychology connect with recruitment and resourcing? Really a wonder. We should actually have this conversation with the master of ceremonies after all of this. She's one of those people who's sitting on a horseback, galloping very fast towards the DTM role. Believe me, if Albert Einstein would have been there, he would have made a study on her, because apparently light will come second if they actually race to get to the DTM. She's much faster than that. Last not the least, She's also the area director for Area 30. She happens to be a good friend of mine for the last 2.5 years. Her name is none other than Toastmaster Lorraine. Over to you, Toastmaster Lorraine. Usher us through the meeting. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, TTM Hariharan. That was our amazing Sergeant at Arms, who is a trainer by profession and a speaker by passion. He is the go-to person when in doubt and someone who plays the role of a mentor and a friend. Table topics for him is twisting and turning of the brains. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I welcome you to today's workshop on how to crack the most dreaded table topics while keeping your fear aside and speaking your mind. I first encountered table topics 2 years ago when I joined Toastmasters. I got my topic, and by the time I spoke on the topic, I saw the amber light. And this happening to a person like me who can talk non-stop was baffling. After that, I ensured that I was either out of the room during table topics or took up another role so that I could avoid being called up. Well, I'm sure many of you in the audience must be facing a similar situation. And we hope that after today's workshop, we can truly think on our feet and never, ever, ever again let table topics intimidate us. To open this session, we have an orthopedic surgeon who is a fitness freak and has been in Toastmasters for the last 5 years. He is the current Division I director, and in the past, he has held many leadership roles. Please put your hands together to welcome DTM Dr. Abdul Sattar to open this workshop with some words of motivation and encouragement. Over to you, Doctor.
Good evening, each and every one of you. Hope you're all doing fine, cozy at home. Once again, welcome to the third episode of Division B and I combined with TLI, the workshop that is aimed at creating wonderful contest participants for the upcoming contest season, and then go on to the DTAC and end up in World Championship, not in table topics, but in international. We have a fourth session coming up tomorrow that is humorous. That will be conducted by Division B. So before we go on, let me ask you one question. How many of you know the shortest story ever said? Can anyone tell me who said that story? It's a very famous story. Anyone there? Can you unmute and tell me what the shortest story ever said?
Maybe it was an Aesop's fable, no?
You're a bit too far, a bit too close.
Was it the newborn baby shoes?
Whoa. Where are you, Maria? Okay, the shortest story ever said was by Ernest Hemingway. He was a young boy that time. His colleagues told him that you have to write a short story. He said, I challenge you. I'll write a story in 6 words. But the colleagues disagreed, and they bet for $10. And he said, keep the $10 in the middle of the table. Then he said, he pulled out the napkin and wrote the story. For sale, baby shoes, never born. It is said, and everyone agreed that he won the bet. It is said that no one can remember this story without crying, because the 6 words depicts the whole story in shortest possible form. Whatever the truth of the matter, the origin of this story made Ernest Hemingway one of the biggest writers, and he went on to win the Nobel Prize. And how many of us get a chance to say a few words in this particular way? We are here today to train in that and to create champions in future. To get to know how to speak not in 6 words, in 2 minutes, whatever is in your heart. I'm sure many of you who is taking part in this session will definitely benefit and become better speakers from tomorrow onwards. With this, let me declare this session open and hand over the mic to my dear friend, Toastmaster Lorraine Fernandez, the Area 30 Director. Over to you, Lorraine.
Thank you, Dr. Abdul Sattar. Today, we have with us someone who is the past District 20 and District 105 Table Topics champion, as well as the Evaluation Contest champion. She is the immediate past president of Achievers, and her job is to spend her husband's money. Even before she joined Toastmasters, she realized that she is passionate about education, mentoring, and communication. Her area of research is crisis communication management. Wow, a truly amazing personality, and I can't wait to hear her speak. Without further ado, I present to you Toastmaster Raslyn Harrison presenting Speak Your Mind. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lorraine. In fact, a very good evening to our division directors. A very good evening to all of you here this evening who is joining us in. I am assuming that most of us are either in Dubai or in Abu Dhabi. I don't think there'll be anybody in Abu Dhabi. So I'm just going to assume that most of you are in Dubai. So good evening would actually work pretty well. I'm also going to make another assumption today. I'm going to assume that none of you, none, not a single one, is actually afraid of table topics. Because I don't like this idea that whenever you go into a club meeting, the table topic master or the toastmaster of the evening will go, and now for the scariest most challenging time of the evening, the table topics, because that just sets this wrong mindset in your head. So the first mindset is table topics is not scary. Second thing I'm going to say before we move into the workshop itself is the session itself is that DTM, Dr. Sattar, I need to correct you on one thing. Everybody here is not going to be a better speaker tomorrow. They're going to be a better speaker starting this evening. Simple as that. That's the only little correction. Okay? Yeah, perfect. So, table topics. Let's get to the nitty-gritty of things, because I think, and I think this is what is actually going on here. Most of you are already well aware of what table topics is. In fact, most of you have already taken part in table topics in your club. In fact, some of you might have competed and gone through different levels. So what we're going to do is we're not going to tell you what table topics is. Instead, we are going to talk about the process, the way somebody might possibly think when they're on stage. And we are going to focus on competition more so than in the club sessions. Of course, the club sessions is where you practice. And that's where all your practice will come in. That's where how you can hone in your skills and put into practice all the things that you might have heard from all the different sources. But most essentially, we're going to concentrate on how to actually compete for table topics. Now, the question that I always ask myself is, why do I go out there and do educational sessions on table topics when I want to win? I do. I'm not gonna kid you on that one, okay? I really want to win. I love it. I enjoy the feeling of winning. And it's going to be a lie if I told you, oh, no, I want to just give this spot to the next person because, I'm really nice and I'm altruistic and stuff. No. I love the feel of winning. But here's the thing. I am also somebody that don't mind losing to somebody who is indeed much better than me. And I'm pretty self-aware about that, right? So the only way to have a good, nice competition is when more and more people come in, take part in table topics, and deliver good table topic speeches. This is when the fun begins. Because then you can learn from each other and you enjoy that, table topics suddenly becomes really how well you can articulate your thoughts, how well you can bring forth an idea, how well you can defend your position, how well you can actually speak on stage off the cuff 2 minutes. And then it brings me to my most important point, how well you can manage your time. Because unlike table topics in the club level, within a club meeting, okay, so you overtime, so you don't get to be counted amongst the people who are going to be voted for. The most painful thing that you can ever do in a competition, especially for table topics, is when you know that you have delivered the best table topic speech of your life. And you know that that table topic is going to get you to the top. And then you overtime by 1 second. That is the most painful thing you're ever going to experience. That 1 second, that half a second, half of a second. It's going to cost you what would be something that is within your grasp. So the first thing I'm going to highlight to all of you is time management for table topics. Okay? One of the ways that I would like you to think about this is start speaking and timing yourself. Say maybe 2 or 3 sentences, count the number of words you can get in. I would go even right down to counting the number of syllables that I can squeeze in 30 seconds. Better yet, make it 25 seconds to be on the safe side. Once you are used to that counting, once you're used to how 25 seconds actually feels, once you're comfortable about how many words you can get in 25 seconds, that's when you can start playing the game. Because that's when you can actually talk all the way to when the red light comes out, and you still have enough time to wrap up your speech. Because you know, I have 25 seconds. I can say these amount of words, and this is how I'm going to wrap up my speech. The thing about table topics is, unless you have done such a wonderful job, and you have been so convincing in a minute and a half, let's say, you usually need your 2 minutes, 2 minutes and 15 seconds, 2 minutes and 20 seconds to make it a really convincing table topic speech, right? So you don't want to shortchange yourself. However, that does not mean that you just keep going around and around in circles and stuff like that before, you get to the last point. So, before we go any further, just a quick question to all of you. What do you think is the most important skill that you should possess when you are delivering a table topic speech? Anybody?
Listening.
Who said that? Let me see. I'm going to go onto a gallery view right now. Who said that?
That's me.
Gordon. Is that your name, Gordon?
Yeah.
Ooh, I like your name. It's like, because I'm a big fan of the Flash Gordon, It's like a sort of. Well done. Listening. You win the prize. I don't know what the prize is, but you win it. Why I say listening? Listening skills is important because your mind often works in mysterious ways. Human beings tend to do shortcuts. We always take shortcuts, and this is true. Even when we are making our way through something, when we're cooking, when we're doing things, we try to shorten the possible time. So we make leaps, we make conjectures. And most of the time, these conjectures get you somewhere. Yeah, it helps to shorten the time, etc. and stuff, but it's not the case for table topics. As many times when your mind is going to make a conjecture because you hear a certain word that triggers a certain thought, and then you blank out the rest of the table topic and then you go on, right? That is one of the biggest mistakes that you can make in table topics. And let me give you a really good example how that happens. This was when I first joined table topics, Toastmasters. This was back in 2014. And the one of our members from Achievers, Ida, he had made it to the division, okay, and he was competing in the division. The topic for them that day for the table topics round was success in one area of your life does not make up for failure in another. I repeat, success in one area of your life does not make up for failure in another. Wow. Yet 6 contestants, okay? 5 of them went up. Actually, 4 of them went up. The fifth one that went up and actually got part of the topic underspoke because I think he was not a very seasoned Toastmaster. But 4 out of 6 of them went up. And somebody went, oh, Einstein failed 1,000 times, succeeded only 1,001st, but blah, 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 blah. Another one went up and said, failure is how you build your success upon, blah, 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 blah. But Ida went up and he said, listen, he's an Emirati guy. He said, I work for the government. I've been extremely successful in my job. You know, I've been doing very well. I've been promoted on a regular basis because I have taken initiatives. I have gotten my 2nd master's and I'm very proud of that. You know, I've been very successful in my education. However, I never got to see my daughter's first steps. I never heard my daughter's first word. And he went on to describe a lot of things. And he said that whatever successes that he had in the office sphere, whatever successes that he had in the educational sphere, never made up for the failure he felt as a father because he never got to be part of his daughter's first. That was brilliant because that was exactly what the topic was. But let me tell you one thing about Ida as well. This is what Ida does. Once he gets up on stage, I don't recommend all of you to do it because if I did it, I'll fall right asleep. But Ida goes up on stage, right? Before, he will shake the hand, everything, and pre-COVID, you get to shake hands. Shake hands and everything, he'll stand there, calm himself down. He actually shuts his eyes. He closes his eyes to listen to the topic, right? And he listens to the topic twice. No movement whatsoever from him. Listens to the topic twice. Calms himself down and starts. So this listening as
ഇന്ന് പോവല്ലോ അതോ എവിടെ
oh, I thought somebody had something to say because sometimes they have
അച്ഛനെ കൊണ്ടുപോകണം എന്തുവാ
no questions. Okay, I'm just looking to see. Okay, but listening skill is the most important thing that you have to take with you. Okay, then after you've listened to your topic, next question I have to you is, which do you pay attention to, the opening or the closing? Anybody? Opening or closing? Opening or closing? Come on, guys. You are all here.
both are important, right?
Both are important, I would agree. But if you had to choose one, which one would you choose?
The closing.
Closing. 2 people said closing.
Opening.
Somebody
Close.
said opening. Another one said closing. Okay. For the purpose, and only for the purpose of table topics. Okay. Sindhu says opening. Okay. for the purpose and only for the purpose of table topics. And this is my opinion completely, because I do agree when somebody said opening and closing are both important. That is true when you have a prepared speech. Because even evaluations is considered a prepared speech because you have time to prepare for it. I would say that for the purpose of table topics, your closing is the one you should pay attention to for two very simple reasons. Number one, your mind takes time to process. So be it if you're one of those very talented people where the moment you hear the table topics, you open up with a fantastic quote or with a fantastic opening, you got it. Okay? But most of us have to work our way through the speech. So since the opening is a lost leader, you always have a lost leader when you are selling things, right? Let the opening go because you don't want to stress yourself out so much. Because can you imagine? You only have 2 minutes to speak. You have 10 seconds max, 10 to 15 seconds, if not the clock starts, right? You don't want to unduly stress yourself. Rather, assign that time to all the rest of the speech. That means, what are your arguments? What do you want to say? Which side are you going to fall on? How are you going to support it? These are things that you should be thinking of, rather than saying, oh, let's make a really good opening. Okay? Second reason why it's the closing is because the closing is the last thing the judges hear from you. You make an impact there, right? So once you can make that impact over there, the judges would tend to remember you a little bit better. And plus, whatever meandering and fumbling that you did in the 2 minutes suddenly gets written away, right? Because you had that one solid closing. Example was my very first Table Topics District Championship. That was in 2017 in Bahrain. That was when we were still District 20. I went up there and my topic was, winter is coming. How will you prepare for it? I repeat, winter is coming. How will you prepare for it? I went up on stage and I said, I'm just a girl from Singapore in a country 3 degrees north of the equator. What would I know about winter? Blah, blah, blah. And then I went on and I started to talk about my mother-in-law who really loves Christmas in Connecticut up north in the US, and it's really cold, and how I have to go and suffer through that. And then I made a joke about, I prepare myself by marrying well so that I can spend my husband's money. I can see from the corner of my eye in the crowd there, my 2 mentors, right? Abraham Thomas and Loyola Pinto, which incidentally both just recently got their TTMs as well. They're sitting there. And I could see Abraham. And I could see Loy going, right? So I went on and on. Then it hit me, right? I closed it by saying, how I prepare for winter is that I'll keep my friends and family close, because these are the people who will see me through the depths of winter. Whoa, the whole place just broke out into, ah. So I won that year. And my excuse to Loy and Abraham was, well, guys, if I'd said that line at the beginning, it would have taken away the impact. And then, the rest of the speech is not, and then if I closed it with that, does not become impactful anymore. Truth of the matter is, that line did not come to me until I was halfway through my speech. Because I was still working through what I really wanted to say. And more often than not, that is what happens with me, at least, okay, personally. And this is when you have to start listening to yourself. Yeah. One of the important things is to listen to yourself as you're speaking during a table topic, and try to register. Because I am quite assured that most of you here, in fact, all of you here, have to be seasoned enough Toastmasters to be able to get over most of the fear of public speaking already. And by the way, there's no such thing as a fear of public speaking. There's only a fear of looking stupid. That's what I think personally. Because if you thought about it psychologically, if you are confident, it's because you knew your stuff and you knew everything that you have there. And that's what happens, right? So most of you are already over that, which means that it's time now to start listening to yourself. Listen to what you are saying, because as you are listening to what you are saying, you can formulate thoughts. You can formulate ideas. You can put together things that you didn't think otherwise is possible when you first heard the topic. And don't be afraid to take a breath. Don't be afraid to breathe while you're speaking. Okay? Because a lot of us, when it comes to table topics, we're so afraid that, you know what, if I paused in the middle of it, people might think that I don't know what I'm saying. So I have to now pepper every single second of that 2 minutes with words, and I have to just keep talking, and I have to keep talking and talking and talking. It doesn't work. Because if you want to be convincing in 2 minutes, if you want to put your ideas across in 2 minutes, you still need your pauses. You still need your impact. You still need to think. And the only way you can do all those things is when you give yourself time. You breathe your thoughts. You think about it. You listen to yourself. Now, the third point that I want to bring up is this idea of structure. Do not confuse structure with a pre-memorized speech. Two different things. Do not ever even think that you should pre-memorize your speeches. It's table topics. You're supposed to speak off the cuff. Because the danger of having a pre-memorized speech is this. And 99 out of 100 times, you fall flat on your face when you do that. Because unless you've cheated and you actually know what the topic is, which, again, they pick 1 out of 3. How are you going to know? You prepare for all 3? Okay, fine. You cannot possibly twist every single topic into your story. And if you're going to waste your time trying to think how you can twist that into your story, you might as well invest time into training yourself to listening properly to the topic and then expounding on the topic that's offered to you. And then familiarize yourself with your structures, that you know there is an opening. There is, when you do your opening, you want to make a stance. You want to say left or right, yes or no, this or that. Then you want to support. You want to say things like, the reason why I've said this is because of this, 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 and have you ever thought about this, 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 and this, this, this. And then, as you are working through all that, come to your closing. Simple structures work best for table topics. Straightforward, simple structures that you should remember that it's part of your psyche. Everything that you say should then become part of your psyche. You should actually already know, okay, I need to have an opening. And in my opening, I'm going to, make my stance, for example. Then I'm going to support my stance. Then I'm going to go. This will lead me to, because in the meat of it, right? You're supporting your stance. You have to make a choice, because usually table topics is this or that. What do you think about this? How are you going to do this? Then comes to my next point, where I'll tell you the simplest, best, surefire way of delivering, at the very least, a decent table topic, if not better than that. That means your bottom line is decent table topics, which means you can only get better, is when you speak from your heart. I tell you to speak your mind, but you speak from your heart. You speak your mind because your mind is the one that controls everything that comes out of your mouth. But your heart is where your beliefs reside. Your heart is where the truth in what you believe resides. Which means that once you believe in what you're saying, it becomes more convincing. You try telling somebody something that you don't believe in, that you think it's hogwash, that you think doesn't exist. You try convincing somebody. You're not going to make it. And table topics is about persuasion and convincing. However, if you had to speak about something that is straight from your heart, something that you truly believe in, you will find the words. You will find the direction. You will find the arguments because you truly believe in it. But most important thing about this whole thing is because you believe, it will be apparent on your face. It'll be apparent in your voice. It'll be apparent through your words. Then people can look at you and go, wow, that one's got conviction. That one is speaking very well. Yeah. So far, we've spoken about more or less the process. I think we've gone through more or less the process. I'm going to take a very quick, I can take one question if you have any so far, just one. If there are no questions, I'll move on to technical. No questions so far? Okay. There's a Q&A coming up at the end anyways. But you know, we want to move on to another part of it. Okay. So the second part that we're going to talk about is technical. I'm going to split my technical up into what is current, which is all these online Zoom competitions, and then what would be the old school, because at some point we're going to go back to old school, right? So we're going to be we will have to be on stage. So these are very, very straightforward, simple tips that some of you may already know, but it's always good to reinforce. Let's start with what is the past, because I want the Zoom ones to be fresh in your minds anyways. So when you're in the past, you're on stage. The stage is huge, right? And this kind of technical stuff works for all speeches, okay? The first thing that I always encourage people to do is to move with a purpose. Move with a purpose. Meaning to say, don't just keep aimlessly walking up and down the stage. A lot of us do that. A lot of us will shift from side to side when we're nervous, especially. A lot of us, when we're thinking, we start pacing and stuff like that. When I say move with a purpose, I mean when you are changing the direction of what you're saying, when you're introducing a new line of argument, when you are trying to convince somebody with a second argument, things like that, you can move. You should move. But it doesn't mean that, oh, because I've been talking to the audience from this side for so long, right, I should walk over to the other side to talk to the audience from that side. No. Because you're standing here, you're talking to the audience here. You can always just turn yourself and talk to the audience over there. There is always room for you to move left and right, like turning, just like turns. Whereas pacing distracts people. You can walk a sentence if you're punctuating that sentence with your movement. Walk a sentence means you're speaking a sentence as you are walking. But when you want to walk a sentence, always be very sure that with each step that you take, you're not distracting the audience, rather you are pulling them even closer to what you are trying to say. So one of the most important things, because all of you know about eye contact, and in the physical sphere, in the physical realm, eye contact in an open room is actually much easier than eye contact in a small room, because I'm thinking that most of you are going to end up being at least in the area, if not in the division. And these contests generally take place in auditoriums or bigger settings. So eye contact is something that's actually fairly easy. However, stopping yourself from pacing, that technical aspect of things, tend to be very much more difficult. If you have a prepared speech, I would encourage you to actually highlight areas that you want to move. I'm not saying to be stiff and follow it. That's why we rehearse things. That's why in theater, they don't just throw you the script and ask you to move around. No, they block you. They put blockings. You know when you are going to do what. When you're delivering this line, you're going to move this way, you're going to be standing there. Same thing if you have a prepared speech. When you're doing table topics, make sure that it's about the triangle. It's a triangle. Yeah, it's an inverted triangle, the front being the base and the back being that. Where you start off, you can go into the center of the triangle. You can walk to the left. You can go back straight across from this side, walk back to the center, right? But don't just aimlessly walk. Walk with a purpose. Okay? That is for physical realm. We're going to push that aside. Because currently, we want to talk about the Zoom realm. Most of you are uncomfortable looking into the camera. Why? Because you're distracted by everything that's below you. All these people that are below you, you get distracted. And that is very apparent. Because now that I'm looking at all you guys, I'm looking at everybody that's down. I'm no longer looking at you. Suddenly, I have lost you as an audience member because I'm talking without looking at you. This is avoiding eye contact completely. Although it feels like I'm giving eye contact because I'm looking at each of your faces and I'm trying to talk to you. But none of you feel like I'm talking to you. Rather, now I'm not looking at any one of you. I'm actually talking to you. You feel it. You feel it because you are looking at my face and I'm looking straight at the camera. This is exactly what happens in television, in movies, in whatever, television especially, right? When a show host is saying something, they look straight in the camera. Now, the one way that you guys can do that and train yourself is to put a sticker just beside your camera and then put an arrow that says, look here. So that that distraction is bigger than the distraction below you. Try it. Record yourself and see it. And then see if it actually works for you, right? The reason why I'm so adamant about saying things like that is because there's so many times that people forget to look into the camera. There's so many times when people are actually trying so hard to convince somebody, but they make the mistake of looking. And then it's gone, right? The other thing that you may want to pay attention to is to use singular. When you're in front of a camera, the difference between being in front of a camera and on stage is this. When you're on stage, everybody is in the audience, right? They're all there. Which means that when you say, how are all of you doing today? I hope that all of you will find this message really, really good. Everybody knows that they're part of an audience group. They know that there are people beside them, right? However, you realize that, that you are actually sitting alone in your room, in your office. You're only one person. So if I keep saying, how are all of you doing? You're going to be like, well, yeah, about that. Especially when people are not putting themselves, okay, look, listen, if you have the gallery view on, maybe that might work. But by and large, when you're listening to somebody, they always spotlight that person. So you're only seeing my face. Suddenly the world shrinks, right? It's only between you and me now. I'm talking directly to you. So perhaps you want to angle the way you speak to accommodate that because it's psychological. When you listen to the radio DJ very hardly tells you, what are you guys doing tonight? How are all of you on your way back home? No, the DJ always goes, I hope that on your drive home today you will stay safe, and when you get back to your family, I hope that you will have yourself a really good dinner. Singular. Why? Because the person listening to the radio DJ is alone in the car. The person is alone driving. Now, you might think that these things may not really make a difference, but think about it. Put yourself in the shoes. When you're listening, what happens? Because increasingly our world is shrinking, right? for now. It's expanding in certain ways because now I can do this while you are over in Dubai. I can do this while I'm sitting in Abu Dhabi. For crying out loud, I could be sitting in the US. I could be sitting in Singapore. I could be sitting in India, and I can still be doing this. That expands your surroundings. However, the fact that you are alone in front of that camera, in front of that computer, looking at me looking at you, shrinks what you can actually experience with some other person. So when you make it more personal, when you reach out to that one judge, see, here's the advantage of being in the Zoom table topics, right? When you're on stage, you need to figure out where the judges are, and you're worried because am I making eye contact with the judges? Am I talking to any of the judges right now? Here, you are talking directly to the judge. The minute you keep looking into that camera, the minute you treat the judge as the sole person, the minute you change the way you speak, you are directly communicating with that one judge. You're communicating with all the judges, but it's as if you're communicating to that one person. This is one of the advantages of being on Zoom. And it's an advantage that you'll never have again once we go back to the physical realm. Because once we go back to the physical realm, everybody's out there, right? So technical works very importantly. Table topics, I would always recommend that you stand up. And I will always recommend, now I'm seated because I was just delivering this session, but I'm going to just give you a little bit of a demonstration because this is where I usually have my chair. My chair is usually here, okay? I don't have my glasses in front of me, so I can't really see. I usually have about this amount of headroom, and I usually make sure that my hands are seen. It should be slightly below your waist when you are delivering a table topics, or any speech for that matter. Any speech for that matter. You should be well aware of how far your hands can go and how far you can go and still stay within this. I do not encourage you to pace around as well. This is one of the rare times you can just stay in the middle of it. But sometimes when you're saying something and you need to like pretend like, so I was just telling him, you should not be doing this. And then you turn around and you want to do something. Be very aware of your boundaries. Headrooms are important because sometimes you might want to take a step back or you might want to come forward to make a point, right? So what I usually do, you can't see it, and this has to be the case. You should not be able to see it. I actually have a chair in front of me, and this chair demarcates where I can go. And what you guys will not be able to see, that's a problem now. What you will not be able to see is I actually, during a competition, would have boxes or something to the side of me. So I know you can mark the floor. So I know that I cannot cross out of that area. These are all just technical stuff that you should know and be aware of because we have gone into the Zoom meeting. We were thrown into the Zoom environment without really preparing for it. And most people do not conduct technical aspects. This is actually something that's extremely important when you are dealing with any competition, whether it's table topics or whether it's your international speech, humorous speech evaluations. Know your space, know where you are, know how you can stand, and make use of the space the best that you can. The winner of the very first Zoom International Speech Contest didn't really have much of a content, honestly, but he had fantastic use of space. He understood how he could go from here and creep up. He understood using the corner to make himself small. He even had his room in such a way that it was a corner. He understood the use of space within this camera. And it made his speech so much more interesting. Similarly, I'm not asking you to suddenly be experts, right? I'm not asking you to be an expert in knowing how to do this and all these things and learning your angles and stuff, okay? I'm asking you to be mindful of your space when you're speaking. I'm asking you to keep an eye to the audience when you're speaking. I'm asking you to learn to be more precise in your actions, because the camera picks up even the smallest little tick on your face. You raise an eyebrow. You go like that. People see it straight away. So nervousness and stuff like that gets picked up. But it can also be used to your advantage. Because suddenly, when you want to punctuate what you're saying with your facial expression, everybody sees it and it's clear. They don't even have to look at the screen, right? Because when you are in the live audience, they always have those big screens where they're picking you up and then they don't see you, or they're only looking up there or whatever, right? But now they can pick up every nuance on your face. Everybody's seeing it. Make use of that. That's going to be used to your advantage. So I'm going to wrap up really quickly. First of all, on the technical side, please start exploring. Please learn to favor the camera. Please learn to actually look into the camera. Force yourself. And for those of you who are like sergeant at arms and stuff, and you have certain scripts that you've memorized, or even your prepared scripts in your clubs, right? Put it just behind the camera. Just behind it. Because when you're looking at it, it looks as if you're still looking into the camera. If you put your script here, you're going to lose everything. Okay, that's just cheating, because in table topics, you don't need that. Now, going back to the process itself, I firmly recommend that you improve your listening skill and be very, very adamant about listening to every single word of the topic before even thinking to start speaking about that topic. I would say don't waste too much time on an opening. No, if an opening naturally comes to you and it was really great, because sometimes inspiration just hits us, use it. I'm not saying don't. But what I'm saying is don't stress yourself out if you cannot think of a good opening. Just answering the question, or just, your salutations. These are things that you can use as your opening and just move on. Because as you are speaking, if you listen to yourself and listen to yourself good, you will start to formulate the rest of the table topic, the answer that you want to give. And inspiration can hit you along there. And then suddenly you hear yourself saying something, you repeat it for the closing. If you cannot find a closing, just make sure it's a full circle. From that, link it back to the beginning. Okay. Structure is something that you have to keep in mind. Again, I'm going to stress, structure is not about memorizing a pre-prepared speech, because that doesn't help. The one thing that I did not cover before is the idea of quotes. There are different fields out there. My mentor is very good at quotes, Abraham Thomas, because he is just somebody who is very widely read and he has so much experience. He knows everything. So he has all these quotes in his mind. There was a lady in a division contest once. She started off with a brilliant quote. I thought I lost, but she unraveled towards the end. I won by the skin of my teeth for that particular one. If you are good at quotes, quotes will help. If you are not naturally inclined to memorizing quotes, please don't do it the night before. It is going to impede your competition, because what you're going to do is it doesn't come naturally to you. You're going to start stressing and you're going to start sweating it out, and then you're not going to be able to deliver a proper table topic speech. Me, I have never won once with a quote, as in I've never used a quote to win before. So there are two ways to look at it. Yeah, both sides, both flip side of the same coin. So we've done the process. For process and even for technical, the one thing that I want to leave you guys with is the fact that you should always, always speak from your heart. Over to you, Lorraine.
Thank you. Wow, wow, wow. What a power-packed session with so many insights. And a few that I did capture were time management for table topics. Listening is the most important skill to listen to yourself as well as listen to the topic. Focus on the closing. Simple structure, speak from your heart, believe in it, move with a purpose, and look into the camera. I was listening. I'm sure a lot more confident now. I sure feel a lot more confident to attempt a table topic than I was before. And what about each one of you in the audience? I'm sure you all must be having some unanswered questions. So this is your time to get your doubts clarified and put your minds at ease. So we move on now to the question and answer session. To take the Q&A session forward, we have a Toastmaster who is young and dynamic, is a multi-talented Toastmaster, and plays a number of roles simultaneously. Today, he is our timer, Zoom master, and the first Q&A master. And a brief about him, he is a talent sourcing operations executive and has been in Toastmasters for the last 1.5 years. He is currently the Vice President membership for Arabian Dreams Toastmasters Club and an active part of the Division I PR team. According to him, if you want to lose your fear, try one table topic and you will eagerly wait to take the next topic. All right, put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen, to welcome Toastmaster Wenzel Fernandez, who will be directing all your questions to Toastmaster Razlin. So if you all have any questions, kindly raise your hand with the icon, the reactions below, or put your questions in the chat. Over to you, Wenzel.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Lorraine, and what a wonderful session, Toastmaster Raslin. First point is all about listening and then attempting the table topics. Without further ado, I see Divya, Toastmaster Divya has raised her hand, so I'm going to unmute you right now. So here we go. And if you do not want to come in front of the camera, or if you're fearing right now, I would say just come in front of the camera, ask a question, and you see there will be wonders today. So I'm going to unmute Toastmaster Divya, and here you go. Your question to Toastmaster Raslin.
Thank you, Toastmaster Wenzel. Toastmaster Raslin, it is indeed an unforgettable session today. I've picked up so many educational and insightful points. One thing that takes my sleep away sometimes is what if I come across a topic about which I know nothing, zero. Because once in a meeting, I'm actually just 1 year old at Toastmasters and really enjoying the journey. But once I came across a topic about Harry Potter, and I swear I've never read any Harry Potter books. I almost backed out, and then I just blabbered on about how the author has come out of a difficult situation in life and how Harry Potter books are popular. But I was miles away from the real topic. Any pointers in for what to do in such a situation?
Wenzel, can you unmute?
Okay, now I'm unmuted. Thank you for the question. You know, Divya, you're not the only person that has that question in your mind, on your mind, because many people actually fear that. But first of all, let me assure you first, if you wait, there's one question out there I'm going to answer after I answer Divya, because that's a very good question. So I'm going to answer that right after I answer Divya. If you go into the competitions technically, yeah, this is only technically, yeah, it should not be a topic that requires prior knowledge, specific prior knowledge. So, for example, they should not be asking you something that is physics-based, or in Newton's first law of physics, what is it discuss? It's never going to be stuff like that. In terms of if it's going to be a Harry Potter question, for example, the question that I had back in 2017, winter is coming, how will you prepare for it? That is actually an allusion towards Game of Thrones, about winter is coming. But it should never be purely about Game of Thrones. It should never even be about anything that's close to that. In fact, if you say, how would you prepare for it? They're taking it literally. You just go on. The one way that I would recommend is to take the topic literally, because sometimes they might make an allusion towards, towards something. They might allude it to a particular hot topic that's on right now or something. But very often, you can actually take the topic literally. Then I would advise you just take it literally. Now, if there's going to be a word that you do not understand, that is a different issue. Okay, if it's a word that you do not understand, what I would recommend is to try your best to listen. That's why I say listening is very important. If you listen to the whole sentence, how it's phrased, it kind of gives you a clue to what the meaning of the word is. I would just avoid that word completely and see if the rest of the sentence makes sense, and just go with the flow for that. Sometimes you are going to be stuck with something that you really cannot answer. It's rare, should be rare, because in the way that they plan table topic questions, should never be a question that requires any prior knowledge, in-depth knowledge of any field that's specific. It would require your opinions and how you would speak about it. Yes, which actually, does that answer your question, Divya? Yes? Okay, good. Because having said that, the opinions part, it leads me, do you mind, Vinzel, if I just take this question?
Yes, we have 10 minutes. So,
Okay, because there's one question here that I want to take. Is it okay? It's on the chat.
yes.
Okay, so KP, you have asked, how do you decide to go for or against the topic? Can one take a neutral stance? A simple answer to the last part of your question is yes, you can take a neutral stance. However, you must remember you have 2 minutes. Are you able to finish the arguments for both sides that you want to take a neutral stance? Or are you able to take a separate road, a separate argument that actually blends both sides of it? Generally, they're quite opposing to each other. So a very quick answer is yes, but it also depends on how you do it. But to answer the first part of your question, how do you decide to go for or against a topic? It boils back down to what I've said from the very beginning, which is speak from your heart. Listen to your heart. At this point, I would tell you, don't listen to your mind. Why? Because your mind is a very practical thing. Your mind is going to start thinking, what does the audience want to hear? What will impress the judge the most? I'm going to speak and choose the side that will impress the judge the most. That's when you're going to unravel, because you may not believe in what you're saying, and then everything goes downhill. So to choose to be for or against a topic, it's about speaking from your heart. For example, somebody always says, beauty or brains, what would you prefer? I always tell them brains, because I've always believed that with brains, no matter how ugly or how fat I am, I can go for plastic surgery and liposuction. I have the money because I'm smart enough to make it. Right? So, see, when I say it that way, even though I'm not saying it with much feelings, right? You don't see, but you can hear the conviction behind my voice. You know? You might think that I'm joking about things, but after a while you think about it, go, she's right. Okay, over to you, Vinzel. I think we have one more question coming up.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Raslin. I would like to unmute Bindu. Bindu, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Good evening, Toastmaster Ruslin. Indeed, today's session was really informative. I just have one query to ask you is that most of the time, which I've seen recently, is that when we are attempting a table topic, they come up with idioms. And when we think, when, like for me especially, I feel, yes, I know I can answer this. But suddenly I start and then I get lost. I do not know how to end it. In this situation, what do we do?
Sorry,
Like,
Bindu, I lost you at at the middle of that sentence. Can you go back to the beginning again? I apologize because I want to answer it properly. Bindu?
Bindu, I think
yes,
you can switch off your camera and then you can ask a question. Maybe it's a bandwidth issue. Yeah, you can ask a question right now.
sure, sure. Okay. I would like to say this is that many a times I've noticed that nowadays most of the table topic questions are asked wide earth idiom. And when I try to answer them, I think, yes, I know the answer for this. I can beautifully answer this. And I start off and suddenly I get lost. At this point of time, what do we do? Like, it's like you get stuck in between and you do not know how to close, though it is all in your mind.
I like that question, Bindu, because it's
Thank
happened to
you.
me many times before. Okay, when you get lost, and then what do you do? How do you hold yourself back? How do you rein it back? My simplest advice to you is take a deep breath. Once you feel like you're unraveling, like almost like you're like a rock that's rolling down with no brakes, you take a breath. So you speak, 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 and then you, because I've said all that, once you take a deep breath, you stop yourself from moving on a little bit more, and then you start to recover from there. Okay, there are two ways to do this. One is you take a deep breath and then you go and then you continue to where you left off, but by then you've already focused yourself a little bit better because you've taken that deep breath and you've calmed yourself down. Because most of the time when we start meandering or start losing ourselves is because we're starting to get nervous because we forgot something and then we moved on. You know what I mean? So take a deep breath. The other way is, of course, sometimes make a joke out of it if you can. If you can't, don't. But if I usually would be like, oh my goodness, I just lost myself there. But what I'm trying to tell you is that you should be doing this, or I want to do that, or I believe in that. Does that answer your question, Bindu?
Yes, perfectly.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Do we have time for one last question? Because I see a hand up.
We can take one question, the last question, and then we will move for the next segment.
Okay.
Yes, Farida, you can ask your question.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Raslin, thank you so much. A very interesting session. Thank you so much. I have one question. What is your advice for better preparation? Because I heard different, like to read book or to watch how other people are presenting. And if to read books, suppose my native language is Russian language. In which language better to read books, and is it really helpful? This is my question.
Как дела?
О, здрасте. Хорошо, все.
Я понимаю по-русски чуть-чуть. But that's all I know in Russian. So, in terms of reading books, I would recommend that you read a book that is that you are interested in, that you have an interest for, whether it be if it's in your native language or if it's in English, whichever that you're most comfortable with. But that aside, that is something that I will not even go into because table topics is about practice. The more you speak, the more you take the opportunity, the more you volunteer to do this, the more used you will become to giving a table topic speech. It doesn't matter how much books you've read. It doesn't matter how much things that you've been, how many movies that you've been watching, because essentially, table topics is about how you feel. It's about your opinion. What you need to actually focus on is things that you want to say and how you can actually say it. So, for example, if somebody's going to ask you, what is your favorite color and why? If you had read a lot of books, you can come with quotes about the rainbow and the color and whatever, blah, blah, blah. But no, it boils down to how you can actually answer that question. My favorite color is blue. The reason why I like blue is, although the word blue means sad, but when psychologists have already told you that if you painted a room blue, it actually makes you feel happier. It actually helps to calm the soul. And I believe that blue represents water, the sky, blah, blah, blah. See, when you start talking from your heart, when you start speaking from your heart, you can say things. The psychology part that I put in, that is alluding to having read up on something. But that's not necessarily the case every time you're answering a question. You don't have to put, if I had taken that out, yeah, and I just went, I love blue because blue is the color of clear skies and blue is the color of the ocean. And I think that I believe that means it's something that is unbounded. I have endless possibilities that I can soar as high as the sky and as deep as the ocean. I didn't have to read through anything. I didn't have to quote anybody. I didn't even have to, the psychology part that I put in just now, just to show you, I took it out. You can still be convincing. Yes, reading is good. Don't get me wrong. Reading, watching movies, watching documentaries and everything else, that's always good. But that should be because you want to improve yourself. You want to expand your mind. You want to become more knowledgeable. Not because you're cramming to do table topics. Table topics is about practice. It's about just going out there and doing it and speaking from your heart. Yeah, I hope I answered your question for that one. Yes, thank you. Spasiba.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Raslin. And I hope all your questions have been answered by our speaker. Over to you, Toastmaster Lorraine, and thank you for the opportunity for this Q&A session.
Thank you, Toastmaster Wenzel. With doubts cleared and fears put aside, let us put into practice what we have just learned and attempt some amazing table topics put together by a Toastmaster who has been in Toastmasters for the last 2.5 years. An architect by profession and the Vice President Education of ADDC2. He is always the first one to volunteer for table topics, and he has absolutely no fear in tackling any topic. That's why tonight I've put him on the other side of the table. Put your hands together to welcome Toastmaster Anirudh, our table topics master. Over to you, Anirudh.
Good evening, one and all present here today. Before I begin with my table topic master role, I would first like to thank Toastmaster Raslin for such a wonderful education session. It was a great session with a lot of takeaways, and I'm looking forward to see some of these getting implemented in this wonderful session that we are going to have. So, do we have a first volunteer out here? Who's the brave enough soul? Can I see a raising hand? Come on, guys. Yes. Bindu, I can see your hand up there. Okay, very nice. Are you ready? I'll show you a topic. Can you give me a thumbs up, please?
Yes, I'm ready.
And if your Wi-Fi is good enough, maybe we'd like to have you on video so we can see your expressions and see you utilize those little tips that we got.
My Wi-Fi is little weak, probably. That's the reason I couldn't speak before also properly.
No worries. Okay, we'll go ahead with the topic. Toastmaster Bindu, forget your age. How old would you be based on your daily lifestyle? Forget your age. How old would you be based on your daily lifestyle? Toastmaster Bindu, over to you.
Forget your age. Age is a number. I don't believe in the number. If I had to say with my lifestyle, I would definitely be very young, very, very young. So I like to live a life full of exploration. I love to be chaotic. I love to be like a child. I love to attempt all the activities. I love to be like a butterfly, jumping from here to there, from one flower to another. That's what is happening with me actually on a daily basis itself. In my office also, every day, I am multitasking. So I feel I have all the energy in me to be like that beautiful butterfly. At the same time, I also like to nitpick all the detailed things in my life and my work areas. So age is just a number. And if it has to be according to my lifestyle, I would like to be the butterfly of my life. Thank you, and over to you, Topic Master.
Thank you. Thank you, Toastmaster Bindu. Do we have our next volunteer? Okay, Toastmaster Narmeen, I see your hand up.
Yes.
Very nice. So Toastmaster Narmeen, my topic for you is, well, before we start, I just like to point out that Toastmaster Wenzel is the timer. So you could please look at the timing charts through Toastmaster Wenzel, and you would be aware of the timing, 1 for green, 1 for amber, and 2 minutes for red with a 30 seconds grace. Right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, perfect. So topic for you, Toastmaster Narmeen, is Toastmaster Narmeen, when was the last time you did a kind thing for a stranger? I repeat, when was the last time you did a kind thing for a stranger? Toastmaster Narmeen.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Toastmasters. What was the last, I'm sorry, I can't see the question again, but when was the last time you did a good thing for a stranger? Well, I gave a nice smile this morning to one of my coworkers, and I consider that as a good gesture. That's a good thing to be done for someone who's a stranger. I smile to the security every morning when I'm walking to my office. I have a motto in my life that I want to do something good on a daily basis for people that I know and people that I don't know, especially the people that I don't know, because that gives you a feeling of fulfillment. You're happy when you're making other people happy. So I try my best to make it a daily routine in my life, to help other people, to be nice to other people. And you know what? I'm not doing that for myself only. I'm doing that for my kids, because I want my kids to be nice to the society and to the people around them. I don't want them to be mean. I don't want them to be known for having a lot of money or having a lot of luxurious stuff. I want them to be known as kind and decent kids. I want to raise good kids. And in order for me to do that, I need to make sure that I'm actually practicing it so they will be able to follow my footstep in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Toastmaster Narmeen. That was very nice. Now do we have our next volunteer? I'm looking for hands before I start picking people out. Okay, Toastmaster Vijay, I see your hand up. Are you ready to take the next topic? May I ask you to switch on your video, please?
Can you hear me? My internet connection is dropping down, so I'll just go with the audio alone. Don't mind.
Okay, no worries. Okay. Toastmaster Vijay, my topic for you is, were you a teacher's pet or a teacher's nightmare? Were you a teacher's pet or a teacher's nightmare? Toastmaster Vijay.
Good evening, my dear Toastmasters and the table topic master. Okay, I would like to say I was a teacher's pet right from the school days till my college days. So, but I think the words of the teachers like, give her any work to Vijay, she gets it done. These words said by my school teacher in my middle school was the words that kept me motivated, and always it used to drive me to always be in the good books. So those motivating words helped me and kept me always to finish the works even ahead of the time, the target time. So I was always a student whom the teacher wants to assign some task, and sure, I used to get the task done before the deadline as well. Not only as a student, even when I was working, even the dean of the college where I worked always used to say, like, I was a favorite staff for the dean as well. So I can say that better not to be a scary student. I was a favorite student to my teachers, not only in the school days as well as in the college days. Thank you. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Now I would like to pick out Toastmaster Mariana for the next topic. Toastmaster Mariana. Hello, how are you doing?
Hello, Anirudh. How are you?
I'm doing great. Are you ready for the next topic?
Not really, but let's do it. Speak from the heart, right?
Perfect. It should come out from the heart, and the topic would just demand that. Okay, Toastmaster. The topic for you is, if you had to describe your life in one picture, what would the picture look like? If you had to describe your life in one picture, what would the picture look like? Toastmaster Mariana.
If I would describe my life in one picture, this would be the picture. This is the cover of my new book that I published recently this month. And I'm speaking from my heart. My heart is beating because I wrote my entire life in this book. And just before I published this book, I sat down and I asked myself, am I ready to do this? Am I ready to put my life in black and white out to the public to be seen? Am I ready to let the public, strangers, friends, and family to see my scars, to look into my heart, and to check the color of my blood, to see my weaknesses, my strength, my passions, what makes me, what makes me cry, what makes me laugh. So your question came in a perfect time of my life, because this is the picture that describes my life fully, completely, openly, with no filters, no fillers, and no walls hiding behind. Thank you, and back to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Mariana. That's a very nice picture. Well, I'm ready for my next volunteer. If not, again, I would have to pick out somebody. Or is it Toastmaster Wenzel telling me it's time up for my session? Toastmaster Wenzel, do I have enough time for another speaker?
We are actually done. I believe we can have one more question, and that should be the last.
Okay. So for the last topic for the day, who wants to go? Come on, guys. The timer has already shown us the red flag. We have to go fast. Okay. I would like to pick out Toastmaster Charmeen. Toastmaster Charmeen, are you there? Okay, I don't think. What about Dr. Abdul Sattar? Dr. Abdul Sattar, would you like to take the next topic?
Try Dr. Muniba.
Well, okay, let's try Dr. Muniba. Dr. Muniba.
Yes.
Dr. Muniba, I have a very interesting question for you. And I'm looking forward to this. Dr. Muniba, success is a destination or a journey? Success is a destination or a journey? Dr. Muniba, over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Anirudh. Success is a destination or a journey. For me, I believe success is a journey. Destination is somewhere when you reach, you believe, yes, you have reached the goal, the ultimate thing you have been looking for. So that means when you reach that place, you feel you are successful. No, every time you achieve something, you want more. You want for more, or that thing which should drive you, you should want for more. You should never stop at a destination thinking you are successful. Success has always been a journey for me, and I wish success would be a journey for all those who are seeking for success. We should not think we reached the destination, we reached the success in our life. We never know what is in store for us. We never know our fate. So I believe success is more of a journey, and the journey will be more beautiful if your companion with you is more supportive, more loving, and always with you without judging you. Over to you, Toastmaster Anirudh.
Thank you, Dr. Muniba. May you be ever successful in this journey of yours. That being said, I would like to hand it back to Toastmaster Lorraine. But before I do that, I would like to thank her for this wonderful opportunity. And it's been a pleasure to be on the other side of the table just this once. Thank you. Over to you, Toastmaster Lorraine.
Wow, thank you, Anirudh. That was a fun session. We will now have Toastmaster Rachana to take any quick clarifications from the audience. Please do raise your hand or message in the chat box, and she will direct your questions. She has been working in the education sector for almost 15 years. She is a baby in Toastmasters and joined only 6 months back. She is the VP Education of Arabian Nights Toastmasters Club. This will be her first ever role in a district event. And with a round of applause, let's welcome her. Over to you, Toastmaster Rachana. I request any pending questions to please be addressed at this point of time.
Thank you, Toastmaster Lorraine, and good evening to everybody present here. It's my pleasure to take up this role this evening. So may I request you, if you have any questions, to please raise your hands, or you can, as Toastmaster Lorraine said, you can personally message me and I'll speak it for you. But it is more than welcome if you would like to switch on your mic and address it. Okay, I can see Toastmaster Bindu Mohite raising her hand. Yes, you are already unmute. Toastmaster Bindu, would you like to say the question? Would you like to ask the question yourself?
I just have one question. Initially, when this education session started, few days back, I was actually wanting to have a recording of it, and I was told that it will be given to you all after the all 4 education sessions would be done. So would you be, I mean, if you could let me know how I can access these education sessions, then it would be great.
Okay. Toastmaster Bindu, you can just write or drop your email ID. I will send you all the recordings. Those will be uploaded on the YouTube. So I will send you all those links.
Sure. Thank you so much, Wenzel. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can I say something?
Yes, sure, please.
Because I have seen the table topics and how you guys have tackled it. I loved the way, because I can see truly that all of you are speaking from the heart. So I really appreciate that. But Rachna, this is not your first time doing this. You're so natural. I like it. I like it. For 6-month-old Toastmaster, you're doing a very good job. However, what I wanted to tell all of you is, please, when you're competing, because we were talking about competition here, right? Because all of you are speaking from your heart. That's very good. Competition here, please don't forget your salutations. Yeah? Don't forget. Good evening, Toastmaster of the evening, fellow judges, contest chair, blah, blah, blah. Contest chair should be the first one that you read. Judges, esteemed judges, ladies and gentlemen, have that at the back of your mind, okay? Salutations are very, very important. I just needed to.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you for that note.
Okay. Thank you, Toastmaster Wrestling, for that. I take it as a compliment, but I know there is a lot more to explore on this platform. Thank you. I have a question from Mariana Misaki. May I please ask Mariana to unmute and ask your question, please? Toastmaster Wenzel, can I please ask you to unmute?
Yeah, she has got the rights to unmute.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Wenzel. Thank you, Toastmaster Rashna. My question was, as you saw from my table topics, that I wrapped my table topics on minute 1. So will the table topic speaker be marked down if she wraps her speech right on the dot when the green light shows up?
No, that means that you've been qualified. So as long as you speak to the green light, you have qualified. However, the reason why I say that you don't just speak till the green light and make full use of your 2 minutes is because you could have explored more ideas. You could have slowed yourself down. You could have, highlighted things that you really wanted to say, for example. And I think the difference also is for you, if you didn't have your book with you, because in a table topics session, you will not have that book with you to show. Then you may have to have taken time to describe it. That would have given you more time, because what you could have said is then, instead of showing that book by saying that this is the picture, you would have said, the picture that will describe my life is the cover of my book that I have just written. Why this is so special to me is blah, blah, blah. And you start with your stuff, right? There is nothing to say. The moment you get your green light, you have qualified. The judges have to mark you based on the fact that you've qualified. They cannot disqualify you. Okay. You will not be marked down because of that, but because you did not highlight certain more things, or if you did not have some more things to say, you might lose out to other people, because remember, other people will have the same topic as you in a contest. So that is where you lose out to. You don't lose out because you just made 1 minute. You're qualified. You lose out because other people will have more things to say. Yeah.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question though? Yes. Yes. Okay,
Thank you, Toastmaster Wrestling. That was an appropriate answer. Timer is showing us the yellow light, the amber light. May I ask if somebody else has a question? Anyone there?
I have a question, if I may.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
So recently, I just participated in one of the table topic session, and what happened is it never happens, but this time I knew what I was speaking, but then I paused. All of a sudden, I paused less than a minute, and then I could not complete. So in this situation, what do you suggest?
Why did you pause?
Because I don't know, because I had nothing to speak after this.
So what was the topic about? It makes a difference.
When was the last time that you received a physical letter from your loved ones?
Okay. So you paused because you thought your story has been completed already, or is it because you just suddenly lost words and you couldn't?
No, I had a story, and I could complete that within 1 minute, and after
Okay.
that,
So that
I
means you had a short story.
yes.
In this case, what I would have done is, if I hadn't made the 1 minute mark and my story is completed, what I would have done is I would have just gone back and picked out certain highlighted points that I wanted to highlight and re-emphasize those points. So for example, if you wanted to allude to the fact that, these days social media is all the da 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 da, that's why you never had, and you could do something like that as well, right? You could just say, okay, social media has played a part in the fact that most of us don't write anymore, and I believe that that's really sad, because the last time I want to tell you once again the joy that I felt when I received that handwritten letter, and I don't think I'll ever receive one like that again. And then go on, so you can supplement what you have said. That is things that you need to do to make sure. But one way to overcome that without having to even come into that is to take your time when you're speaking. So you know that, because you know the story, it's in your heart, right? You know that story, and you know where the ending was going to come. So what you're going to do is, when you're speaking, take a little bit more breath, take a little bit more pauses, explain a little bit, give a little bit of peppery stuff along the way. And then when you see the green light, then you start to give the closing of that story. Do you see what I'm saying? These are just little tricks for you to extend the story. So you can either end your story where you did, and then put something as a annotation to it, like an extra, like a PS. By the way, writing a letter, right? They always have PS. This is why I said this, 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 this. So you do a PS to your speech, if you will, postscript to your speech. That's one way to actually extend it. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Thank you so much.
Yep, that's a very good tip, Toastmaster Wrestling. I mean, I'm going to use it. Thank you. I can see Toastmaster Anirudh raising his hand. We'll take that question as well. Toastmaster Anirudh, please unmute.
Well, good evening, Toastmaster. This has happened to me a few times when I was attempting topics, wherein it was a very nice topic, and I start speaking from one direction, and then during the speech, when I'm speaking from my heart, it just happens that I start contradicting myself and I start going to the other direction as well. So because it's just going with the flow and the thoughts just flow, and then after some time I realize that I've completely disregarded my first point, and then I'm in kind of a fix. then I have to end it all. So how do you, suggest I tackle such a situation? How would you do it?
So when you meander to the opposite direction, is it because suddenly you thought, hey, actually the other side is better than the first side? Is that the reason why you meander? If that is the case, I would then say, earlier on there was a question by PK at the KP at the beginning. He
Yes,
asked,
one side, two side, neutral.
can I two sides or take neutral? In that case, right, if you find yourself suddenly talking about the opposite side, right, then you can then what you should do is then say, well, quite frankly, I think both sides of the coins works just as well. So the question now is, what do you believe? Throw it back to the audience.
Okay.
If you find yourself in that situation. But generally, you should make that decision and that determination from the beginning of the table topic and just go and, just hold on to that and keep going. But in case you actually lose your way and then start speaking on the other side, then that's what you do. You just throw it back. For example, like a good example for that would be VG's table topic when the teacher's pet one. Your teacher's pet.
Teacher's pet or teacher's nightmare.
I would have gone out and said, I would have been neither. I was the child that the teacher never saw in school because I never turned up for my lessons. So I was neither the teacher's pet nor the teacher's nightmare because the teacher never knew me. And then I would have gone on to talk about my childhood and blah, blah, blah. You see what I mean? So when you have a case, you make a decision at the start. So I've already made the decision at the start that I'm negating both. I can't be bothered with both. Then I'm going to tell you why. Yeah? So that, I think, is if you needed to recover, I think the best way to recover is then to just say, well, I throw it back to you, right? Because you've heard both sides of the story. What do you think is your opinion? There's no harm closing a table topic with a question. No harm at all. If it works. Yeah, if it works.
That's a very interesting way, Toastmaster Wrestling, what you've told us. It has happened with me. I mean, I'm standing and talking about the topic and suddenly I am somewhere else.
It happens to me all the time.
Indeed, it is interesting way to deviate. Thank you, Toastmaster Wrestling, for answering all the questions. I think with this, we come to the end of the question answer segment. Over to you, MC of the evening, Toastmaster Lorraine.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Rachana. Very well done. And now, as we come to a close of yet another amazing workshop, we have one more dynamic and passionate Toastmaster, a general physician by profession, practicing in Dubai since the last 15 years, and currently the Assistant Division Director, Program Quality. She feels table topics is a challenge you have to think on your feet, which often results in speaking from the heart. And it sure keeps the audience eager, engrossed, and engaged, and indeed a treat to us Toastmasters. To the speaker, she'd love to say, be brave even if you aren't, act like one. No one can make out the difference. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together to welcome Toastmaster Dr. Muniba Ali for the closing. Over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Lorraine. That was one of a kind of a session which deserves a lavish, loud and honest round of applause. Division BNI along with TLI is on a roll and has successfully completed the third in the education series, the Table Topic Speech Contest Workshop. Speak your mind. Congratulations on that. Today's session emphasized what we learn in Toastmasters. We learn how to speak, what to say, and most importantly, how to touch the heart of the listeners, even by a 2-minute speech, although you might be a total stranger. Thank you, Toastmaster Wrestling, from the bottom of my heart. You honored us with that knowledge transfer. You gave a thoughtful and thorough insight into table topics, how to speak impromptu, and how to mindfully speak your mind. Thank you, Toastmaster Wrestling. Toastmaster Wenzel, can I have the certificates, please? Thank you, Toastmaster Reslin Harrison, once again. DTM Hariharan, that was the first time I saw you as Sergeant at Arms. You were in your humorous mode today, I should say. Thank you for always being so supportive. Toastmaster Wenzel, for being our Zoom master for today's event and for moderating the QA session. You have a unique style of helping, vibrant, as I fondly call you in your club. You are a strong support pillar. Not only that, who was our timer, flipping the background green, amber, red? None other than you, Wenzel. Silent you stay, listening all day. Amazing skills, I should say. No doubt without you, hero, any event could be zero. Applauses for you once again. Toastmaster Anirudh, thank you for carrying out the practice tables topic session in style. You made 5 brave hearts speak so effortless. You made them at ease. Toastmaster Bindu was a butterfly in her life. Toastmaster Narmin owns a heart of gold, even for the one whom she doesn't know. Toastmaster Vijay was her teacher's pet. Toastmaster Mariana spoke from the heart. She's a brave heart. She spoke about a book which portrays her life, her picture. And finally, Anirudh, you didn't make me fumble that much. Bravo. Thank you, Toastmaster Rachna Mahajan, for moderating the QA session. You portrayed perfection with beauty and grace. And when the events are online, there are bigger brains who work behind the events. Thank you, Toastmaster Arya, for giving us that beautiful, beautiful certificates and the flyers. Thank you once again. And Area 30 Director, Toastmaster Lorraine, my lovely lady, my lovely friend. Wonderfully organized and compared the event. Congratulations and thank you. Thank you for entrusting me with the role of thanking you all. It said, thanks for me. It said, when delegating, give away the power along with the job. Well, I don't think I'll ever come across a person like you. Division I Director, DTM Dr. Abdul Sattar. You personify a true leader. Thank you for empowering us. Thank you so much. And finally, to all my lovely audience, you are the real stars. Thank you for being there and thank you for listening. Goodbye for now and waiting for you tomorrow where Division BNI with TLI will have the 4th education session in the series, the humorous speech contest workshop. Over to you, Toastmaster Lorraine. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Muniba. It's now time to thank the lovely team that made this workshop possible in short. Thanks to Wenzel, Anirudh, Rachana, Arya, DTM Hariharan, who are always there to support me in all my endeavors. A heartfelt thanks to our lovely trainer, Toastmaster Reslin, for imparting her knowledge and taking time out to present today and help us think on our feet. And it's now time to bid goodbye and good luck to each one of you in your journey in Toastmasters. Thank you for attending and being a lovely audience. Be brave, be bold, think on your feet, and always speak your mind. Good night and God bless. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I'm going to go off now. Love you
Don't
guys.
go Raslin. Don't go Raslin.
Yeah. Why?
Why not? Why not? Why not? Why not?
I need to run.
Bye.
Go sleep.
I need to run like so fast now. No? Well, we'll meet again. We will meet again.
Have a nice run.
Lorraine has my contact now. So just
You also have your contact.
Yeah, you have my contact for sure. You definitely have my contact. So please, anytime, let me know. And if I'm going to Dubai, I will for sure look you guys up.
Definitely.
Done.
See you. Good night.
Night.
Bye.
Thank you.
Wenzel?
Can just